こんにちは。
京大1回生の、京大2回生の高山幸太郎と言います。
阪大2回生の森田寛と言います。
今回は、阪大京大のモデルディベートの撮影をしていこうと思ってます。で、コロナの影響で、対面のモデルディベートができないので、こういった形でオンラインのモデルディベートを録画して、放映するっていう感じでやっていきたいと思います。で、今、ディベーターの方には、プレパレーションタイムっていう準備時間の方で、スピーチを準備してもらっているので、その間に、ルール説明の方を森田君からお願いしたいと思います。
はい。じゃあ、ルール説明していきたいと思います。で、目次がこんな感じで、入っていくと、まず、そもそもディベートって何ぞやっていうところで、ディベートとか議論って聞くと、相手を否定するだったり、論破するとか攻撃的な感じって思いがちだと思うんですけど、本来のディベートっていうのは、相手を任すっていうよりは、第三者、審判、ジャッジっていう第三者を説得して、相手より優れているっていうことを示すっていうのがディベートです。なので、この時に、客観的な意見主張、その第三者が納得するような意見主張をするっていうことと、それがなんで相手より優れているかっていう相手との比較っていうのが、ディベートでは重要になります。で、ディベートの中でも今回やるパーラメンタリーディベートっていうののルールをもうちょっと詳しく見ていくんですけど、さっき言ってたその第三者を説得するっていう第三者って誰っていうと、3つあって、1つがその偏見やったり先入観がない人で、2つ目が専門的すぎる知識がないで、3個目が論理的批判的な思考ができる、いわゆる常識的な人、アベレッジリーズナブルパーソンって言ったりします。で、こういう人を説得するためには、1個目に、客観的に伝わる説明が自分が持ってる意見は、みんなあると思うんですけど、それを、その意見をそのまま言うんじゃなくて相手に伝わるような形で言ってあげることっていうのと、2つ目に、細かすぎるデータとか証拠とかはあんまり使わないようにする。なんせ第三者っていうのがそういう専門的すぎる知識を持ってないからっていうことで、3つ目が、筋の通った説明が大事っていう感じです。次。なんで、さっき言ったその第三者を説得するっていうために上に書いてあるような女は男よりバカであるとか移民は危ないみたいな、そういう意見を持ってる人はいるかもしれないけど、客観的に見てなんでそれが正しいのかとか、客観的に見てそれが説得性のある主張なのかっていうのを考えながら、するのがディベートっていう感じです。2つ目の、2段目の銃による事件は年に何件とか、大麻の中毒者は何名みたいなデータが、知ってたとしても、それって多分一般的には知られてないことなんで、あんまりディベート中、パーラメンタリーディベート中には使うのは、ふさわしくないかなっていう話で、3つ目はさっきに言ってるんですけど、マイノリティはマイノリティだからかわいそうみたいな。なんとなくわかるけど、具体的にどうかわいそうなのかとかいうのを客観的に第三者に伝わるように説明するっていうのが大事です。はい。で、ここまではパーラメンタリーディベートで、どういう、なんていうかな、どういう主張するべきかみたいな話やったんですけど、具体的なルールに入っていくと、パーラメンタリーディベートっていうのは、議会を想定してて、議会の中ではだいたい与党っていうのが政策を提示して、それに対して議論をするっていう形を取ると思うんですけど、それと同じで、パーラメンタリーディベートでもその論題、モーションっていう、政策みたいなのが提示されて、それに対して賛成側、否定側っていうのに分かれて、その論題を議論していくっていう感じで、1個目に書いてるんですけど、どっちの側に立つかっていうのは、ディベーターは選べないっていう感じです。 で、2つ目に、モーションに、その論題に特別書いてない限り、全世界どこでも議論の対象になる。なんで、例えば、タバコを禁止しますみたいなことやったら、これは日本だけでタバコを禁止しますとかはダメで、ある程度全世界どの国でもタバコを禁止しますみたいな政策を想定して議論する必要があります。で、3つ目は、当たり前っちゃ当たり前なんですけど、その賛成側っていうのは、その法律が通過した世界、例えばタバコ禁止じゃタバコが禁止された世界っていうので、反対側は通過しない世界、タバコが禁止されてない、許されてる世界っていうのを守って、それぞれの世界を比較するっていうのがディベートのルールです。はい。具体的に、2つ問題があって、例えば銃の所有の禁止とか大麻の合法化やったら、1個目やったら銃が禁止されてる世界と、銃が許されてる、ある程度の人が持ってるみたいな世界の比較やし、2個目の大麻の合法化やったら、大麻が合法化されてる、許されてる世界と、大麻が禁止されてる、全くない世界っていうのの比較になります。This House would THW っていうのが最初に来てると思うんですけど、これはさっき言った本議会はなんちゃらっていうことを指してて、これ以外にも THBT、This House Believes That みたいな形のやつやったり、他にも何個か形があるんですけど、それはもうちょっと深掘りした時に勉強したらいいかなっていう感じです。で、ここまでがパーラメンタリーディベート一般的なルール、どういう説明をしたらいいかとか、論題がどういうふうに出てくるかみたいな説明で、3つ目に今回具体的にどういう形式でモデルディベートをするのかっていうことなんですけど、今回は NA 形式、ノースアメリカン形式の短縮バージョンっていうことで、1個目に2対2で戦う賛成側、否定側2人ずつっていうのと、2つ目に論題が出てから20分くらいで準備する。その時ネットを使うのもダメっていう感じ。で、3つ目が、1人5分のスピーチ。5分以内のスピーチって感じで、それより短いの OK。だけど、長くなるとダメっていう感じです。本来は1人7分やったり、他の形式やと8分とかいうのもあるんですけど、今回は短縮バージョンということで、1人5分のスピーチをすることになってます。で、他にも2対2じゃなくて3対3とかいう形式もあるんですけど、それももうちょいディベートを深掘りしてきてから学ぶっていう感じで大丈夫だと思います。はい。で、さっきのその2対2で戦うって言ったそのスピーチの順番がここに書いてあって、1人目から4人目まで、プライムミニスター、リーダー・オブ・ポジション、メンバー・オブ・ガバメント、メンバー・オブ・オポジションっていう感じで、賛成側、否定側、賛成側、否定側っていう交互に喋る感じで試合が進んでいきます。はい。で、今日の賛成側、肯定側のメンバーの紹介がこの辺に書いてます。なんで、興味あったら見てください。はい。
はい、じゃあ、preparation time has been expired. Today's motion is that this House would abolish Olympic Games. Now call upon the Prime Minister from Osaka University, Yuki Saito. Please make your speech within 5 minutes. Here, here.
始めます。I believe that modern Olympics are pretty more expensive than host country have expected. And moreover, given that nature of the international competitions, I believe that structural pressurizations toward sports players is inevitable at the end of the day. That kind of stuff absolutely go against the principle of sports and the health of the sports players. For the reasons, we are happy to propose this motion. Before moving my argument, set up this debate. Two setups. Firstly, this debate is about whether Olympic Games have enough harm to justify abolitions. So as a government side, we don't have the burden to prove the workability of the alternatives instead of Olympics. Secondly, if we can apply the similar logic to other kind of the competitions, we are happy to abolish that competitions as well. That is the clarifications coming from Prime Minister. Based on that, move on to my argument. Today, I'm gonna tell you two things in my speech. Firstly, the why Olympic Games bring economic harm to the host country in the long term. Secondly, the how toxic nationalistic narrative sexualize sports players. My second partner gonna tell you justifications, given that the entire harm coming from the Olympics, why Olympics deserve to be abolished. Okay, move on to the first point about why Olympics again bring economic harm. For that, two things to say. Firstly, the government likely to underestimate the cost for Olympics. Sometimes they have to suffer from serious deficit coming from the Olympics after Olympics. The reason why that is likely is that unpredictable factor, such as delay of the plan and also economic conditions. And secondly, also the way to make use of the money is wasteful and inefficient in the sense of the government cannot, oftentimes the government cannot utilize or repurpose what they build up specifically for the Olympics. The impact here, why is it harmful, is that entire economic harm or financial problem strongly threaten the functionality of the government. As a consequences of the serious deficit, the government cannot allocate a sufficient amount of the money to the necessary part, even though that money is coming from the citizens as a form of the tax. This is especially crucial for the developing countries. For example, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, government lost the capacity to provide the basic necessity and couldn't afford to arrange infrastructure. This is seriously harmful given that role of the government. Move on to the second issues about even if harm I told you in this debate is not necessarily case limited case to some countries, why still does Olympic Games deserve to be abolished? Is that because of nationalistic narrative? As for when it comes to sports events, sports competitions should be absolutely fair and also should guarantee the health of the sports players by banning some drugs that likely to enhance the ability of the sports players. So, but that kind of stuff wouldn't be fulfilled for three reasons why. First reason is that this is international competitions, so national-wide expectations have create immense pressure on the shoulders of the sports players. Second reason is that since this is a competitions based on national pride, national identity, sports institutions or some organizations of some country have the incentives to force sports players to take drugs for the purpose of the win. So the reason why that pressurizations is occur is that to gain the reputations or profit, or sometimes to maintain the identity of their own country. And third reasons is that as a consequences of these pressurizations toward sports players, sometimes sports players are coerced to take drugs by sacrificing their own health. That is significantly harmful for the health of the sports players.
UI.
Conclusion here. Yes.
So they are willing. For the sports player, they are willingly opt into the sports and they are completely consented. Why this harm is so important?
As I said, that some institution or organizations of some countries regarding sports will pressurize sports individuals. This is the reason, the mechanism why their pressurizations occur. That why their sports players have to take drugs for sometimes. The conclusions, as I said in this debate, the Olympic Games have immense harm. We have immense harm coming from the Olympic Games for the reasons we happy to propose. Finished.
So two harms coming from government side. So first, the economic harm is not mutually exclusive at all, and this is not inherent problem of the Olympic. And secondly, this is very important. Recognize they already consider the importance of right to player. So even if to some extent pressure is harmful or players individual, since they are players, they feel sense of living for playing. So compared to their harm we say deprivation of opportunity for playing is more crucial. So that's why we happy to oppose. Two issues with from leader opposition. First, why government paradigm player lose important opportunity and negative impact lasts long termly. And second of all, why on our paradigm Olympic can contribute achieve their happiness. But before that, one debater. So they said about their problem identification of economical harm is like so costful or wasteful uses, etc., etc. But it is not inherent problem to Olympic, right? Because if they want to solve the problem by maintaining Olympic, it is achievable because we are happy to require or incentivize the host country to care about those issues. So another fact, London Olympic achieves successfully achieved the eco-friendly Olympic, right? So this is other fact that exists and this is achievable on our side of the house. Let's move on to my first argument. Why government paradigm player lose deprive the opportunity for playing, why it is harmful. First, quickly, why player rights to self-actualize is matter in this debate. But it is a consensus, maybe more prime minister, so quickly I explain. Two things. First, the generally it leads to their happiness, right? Because since they are player, they feel so happiness or so meaning of life by playing performance in competition. Second of all, particularly because they feel motivation purpose for living by playing. So that's why like existence opportunity to enjoy sport perform sport is really important. Two harms. First, why generally abolition opportunity of Olympic is harm to all players? Because player deprives the opportunity to self-actualize in Olympics, right? Because the player have so special feeling or aspiration for Olympic because Olympic is unique places where many people see their performance and cheer or praise their player individually. Right? They are feeling such special one for the Olympics, right? So that's why depriving this opportunity to performance in such places is really harmful generally. Second, why especially minor sports player deprive the opportunity to play, why it is harmful? Two things to consider. First, how government paradigm looks like. So maybe instead of Olympic, the private actor of each sport hold competition internationally, the soccer World Cup, ballet, NFL, for example. Second, why this leads to deprivation of opportunity for minor sports, bobsleigh or kabaddi, for example. Two reasons. First, simply there is less and less opportunity to participate in for the player individual, right? Two things. First, so in the first place, the agency that hold minor sports competition is so small, right? Because they're as a whole so scale is so smaller. And second, there is no fund for such minor sports player, right? So on one side of the house, in the case of Olympic, the host country, the guarantee, the pay participation fee, and the state have the incentive to subsidy, but there is not happen on their side of the house. Second reason is that by abolishing Olympic, sponsor for minor sports is more smaller, right? Because it is not a marketable issue. Because exposure to society, opportunity for exposure to society is more or less unless because media has no incentive to broadcast the minor event and only focus on major sports, soccer or basketball. How it is so bad? So it is for minor sports players, it is so difficult to find place to practice or they have to collect their money by themselves, for example. It is very harmful in terms of the deprivation of the opportunity to self-actualize. Second, why on our side of the house, Olympic can contribute the unique opportunity to actual happiness? So two things. First of all, generally the all players. So it is literally we can guarantee the opportunity to perform the Olympics, the special places. Second main issue, more main sports people, how self-actuaries. Two things. First, simply the obstacle for participation is more lower and lower on our side of the house from two reasons. First, simply economical obstacle is more lower and lower, right? Because states start to subsidize to each player because Olympic player is so vulnerable existence for each state, and they state have much incentive to win because Olympic is national pride battle. Second, because especially minor player, so so no. So okay, so second reason is that, so especially for minor player, Olympic is special. So it is like on our side of the house, achieving the more better environment for playing is more achievable, right? Because sponsor or chair minor sports is more increased on our side of the house. Why exclusivity is important? Because so only our burden, people didn't know such minor sports, have no interest in minor sports, start to attracted by viewing the broadcast for media, right? It is really important and exclusive benefit on opposition for them. So that's why we are happy to oppose.
Thank you. With the opposition, please now call upon the Prime Minister, the Prime Minister from Osaka University, Du Chaozan. Please make your speech. 5 minutes. Here.
Thank you, Chair. 2 points in my speech. First, in terms of principle, why IOC should abolish the Olympic Games, because we think that reformation in any way cannot work on their side. And so far, we haven't heard in their speech as to what kind of reforms can change structural tendency to actually sabotage sportsmanship and healthy competition in the first place. And secondly, I'm going to reconstruct the long-term economy, what we think is still a very, very relevant issue in this debate. First is about principle. We think that Olympics Games, 2 layers of analysis here. Olympics Games has gone astray from the spirit of the IOC in terms of democratic representation for citizens. Because why? We think that most of the money that is gained from the games is going to go into the pocket of the IOC executives. Take Rio, for example. 70% of the revenue actually went into their pocket. And secondly, it's not represented. The issue was not represented by citizens, but by a coalition of private companies who would like to profit off of the games, such as construction companies or architectural firms or investment bankers. So we think that there's no trickle-down effect to these citizens in the first place. That's why the Brazilian government has to cut into police funding as well as welfare funding in order to get the money to get the infrastructure done in the first place. Secondly, we think that the IOC has failed to promote sportsmanship, healthy competition, and cooperation, something that is mandated in its policy in the first place. 3 layers of analysis here. First, I would like to engage with PMs about the willingness and the self-actualization of sports players in the first place. The response here is that we don't think that it's actually informed consent due to the glorification that exists around this national pride or the media attention around, oh, it's actually a very venerable job in the first instance, but they are actually not aware that once they step into this field in the first place, there will be immense societal pressure for them to compete for national pride, for countries to prove their superiority in the first place, as well as the media fervor that upholds them to very high standard and that they have to be strict to themselves, as well as pressure from sports federations or the agencies that they're actually representing. So we think these individuals, they cannot go against the structural force from outside in order to fight for themselves or fend for themselves. So we don't think that it's necessary true willingness in the first instance. Secondly, we say that they can actually self-actualize through other alternatives, not necessarily through national identity, right? We say that they can still enhance their name, enhance their capability by fighting for other countries, or those who actually pay for them, soccer clubs, for example. Thirdly, we think that minor sports are not actually that mutually exclusive in this debate, because anyway, if those are minor sports, they are not marketable, they cannot attract attention in the first place. And look at the mechanism of Olympics. They only choose the team that represent the whole country, that goes through the domestic like league, that sort of thing, right? So minor sports teams still don't have a chance against bigger sports teams that already have very good like standing with a lot of like domestic funding or sponsorship in the first instance. So we don't think that minor sports can actually get more of a chance to participate in the first place. I don't really get their mechanism there. Secondly, let's talk about like long-term economic gain. I think like is a economic harm. We think that only response coming from government is that, oh, they can actually have like, I don't know, incentivize people for eco-friendly thing, though this is not really a direct response to what we already told you, that these things, firstly, because they are mega projects, they cost a lot of money, a lot, like having to pay a lot to media, to have like Olympic village, or even to have like media village, etc. And secondly, what's very unique about these projects for the Olympic Games is that there's a deadline and a standard to actually uphold, because you have supervision committee to actually come to those places to make sure that you're doing everything on track. So people have to work around the clock, meaning that government has to pay more in order for this to meet the deadline in the first instance. And thirdly, we say that debt actually overweights the revenue in the first place. Debt usually overshoots to like $12 billion for Rio, for example, or $51 billion for the 2014 Sochi Winter Games. So this overweights like just $5 to $6 billion that they can actually gain in the first place. And it actually takes a lot of time for governments to actually pay off these debts in the first instance. It took Canada 20 years to actually pay off the debt. And it actually costs a lot to maintain these things in the these venues in the first instance. So they're just going to be very valueless assets in the first place, just stand there and go into disrepair and cannot be used for any more economic refurbish. And we think that because of that, they can it will cause a lot of long-term economic, and people will be disenfranchised. So for those reasons, glad to propose.
Thank you, Deputy Prime Minister. Now call upon the Leader of Opposition from Kyoto University, Kosei Masude. Please make your speech within 5 minutes. Here.
Firstly, I mainly I provide you that some pieces of rebuttal, and after that, I'll tell you that about how our counterfactual looks like, and how in our paradigm can achieve better self-actualization for the sports player. So before that, some rebuttal. So this is about the financial problem, but three kind of things. Firstly, there is a truly consensus and between host country and IOC, and so within the planning the Olympic Games, they show that the economical capability, or they shows that so how what kind of facility they make, and how much cost they the Olympic game cost, or those sort of things. So in that situation, there's true consensus between the people and nations and IOC and the country. So in that circumstances, their harm should be ignorable. And secondly, we happy to introduce financial assessment for the Olympic Games, and if the one country not good for good finance, these countries are completely rejected from the Olympic Games. And actually, these kind of system are introduced inside of the IOC and IOC selection. So that's why their harm can be mitigatable. And thirdly, why their case is less likely. So in the to make the to make the basic infrastructure, the Olympic game is so useful. For example, that they said about Brazilian government are now facing the financial crisis or those sort of things, but that is not that not specifically the Olympics games harm, and but rather the Olympics games provide the basic infrastructure for every citizen. For example, Brazilian government makes a new road for the Olympic Games, and now this road is used by the all citizens. So that's why that for the huge investment for the finance social infrastructure, Olympic game is very better for the economic condition. And secondly, that this is about that for the individual sports player, that Olympic game is so really harmful, but it is not true, right? So firstly, that harm can be mitigatable. So in the presentation, the international institution strongly censor the usage of physical enhancement drugs, and that is completely feasible. For example, that looking at the case of Russia, the Russia is completely rejected from the Olympic game because of that drug abuse, and this case clearly shows that IOC strongly implemented anti-doping policy, and that is completely feasible. So in that situation, that if the one player hugely pressurized by the country or the media, that individual player cannot access to these kind of drugs, and so we can in the current system can provide better player protection policy. So that's why that is completely benefit. And secondly, as I said, that the player itself have a huge completely consented toward that they are pressurizing. So if these players are completely notice that if they go into the Olympic game, the media or nation highly highlight their sports player, and they are completely pressurized, become the pressurized condition or those sort of things. So in that, so because the player are completely consented that kind of situation, so that kind of harm can so we can ignore these kind of harms. And lastly, how our counterfactual looks like and why that self-actualization is so important. So how, firstly, our counterfactual. So in our paradigm, so uniquely that these sports player can achieve that self-actualization. Two reasons. Firstly, so because the IOC subsidized for fee for the broadcasting rights, fee comes from the broadcasting rights for that each individual sports institution. So that's why each individual sports institution have get benefit from these broadcasting fee, and that each individual sports team can sustain these sports. So in that situation, that uniquely the players can continue to do sports. So that's why we think that that is a complete benefit for these individual sports players that we proud to both.
終わった方がいい気がする。
はい。わかりました。じゃあ。
はい。
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.